Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Like many of the most iconic U.S. racetracks, tonight's circuit spawned from a rich tradition. Of a true road course through a municipality and surrounding villages, racing on a true road course through the municipality and surrounding villages. And in this case, the first race was held on the streets just over 100 years ago on a layout that was over 40 miles long. And it wasn't until 50 years later that racers transitioned to a permanent circuit for much the same reason as here in the States: spectator safety. The layout that debuted in 1974, just about, 50 years ago, and that we'll race on tonight, challenges drivers with long, tightening sweepers, quick transitions, and one very long straightaway. It's a true momentum track. The Prancing Horse has owned this facility since 1988, and though Fiorano might be its primary test track for its street cars, tonight's venue has seen its share of stallions as well as hosting MotoGP, FIA GT, DTM, and the 2020 Tuscan F1 Grand Prix, where appropriately enough, Ferrari raced in its 1000th Grand Prix. Welcome everybody to the Autodromo Mugello and the 24th season of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Touring Car Cup, presented by the SCCA Foundation and Proforma Elite here on Apex Racing TV. And I'm Greg Ginsburg, and I'm going to be sitting in solo tonight here in the commentary booth as Larry Lefty McLeod is going to be watching former Panther Racing owner Jim Harbaugh and his Michigan Wolverines make an attempt at the national championship in football here. But of course, I've got director extraordinaire Jonathan Grabowski, who's going to be whispering little jokes in my ear all night long, I'm sure. He's working behind the scenes to give us all the best views of tonight's action. And so we're finishing up the practice right now. About 2 minutes left to go at this track, Mugello. It's 15 turns. It's 3¼ miles. It is filled with It's got multiple hairpins. It's got a number of very longer chicanes, but it is really a lesson in throttle management, even for these Toyotas and for these Mazdas. We've got interesting to note that the fastest lap time ever recorded at Mugello was a 1:18, and that was during the Formula One race, and that was Lord Lewis Hamilton in his Mercedes. Our MX-5 Cup cars and our Toyota GR86 Cup cars not turning nearly those lap times this evening. In practice this week, they were turning in the 207s and 209s each, so a little bit less than a minute off of Formula One pace. But let's do this rather than me tell you everything about, or nothing useful about Mugello. Let's turn things over to Kevin Ford, who's actually out racing here tonight. Good to see that. Kevin is going to give us tonight's track guide of Autodromo Mugello.
Welcome, everyone, to the beautiful Mugello circuit. Located here in central Italy, we are just northeast of Florence at a track that comes in at 5.24 kilometers in length, 3.259 miles to be exact. It has 15 turns and a 0.7 of a mile long front straightaway right in front of those stands that have a capacity of 50,000 fans. The Grand Prix motorcycle event, MotoGP, yep, they attend this course every single year. The track is actually owned by Scuderia Ferrari and has been since 1988, and they do all of their Formula One testing here at Mugello. The course actually hosted the first Formula One race here on September 13th in 2020, named the Tuscan Grand Prix as part of the season being restructured due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, let's get ready for this incredible track. I'll tell you, heading down the front straightaway, speeds will reach up to 120 miles per hour in today's event as drivers will brake hard into that turn one of San Donato. All right, here you go. We'll find ourselves heading up the front straightaway. You'll notice our main grandstands to the left, our pit area to the right as we cross the start-finish line and head up the hill towards this beautiful mountain scenery. Well, we're going to keep our eyes down for this track guide. We've got a lot of speed rolling down into turn one here. Heavy on the brakes and very difficult. You can see that back end wanting to swap around. It's very easy to get loose down into that corner. Coming up out of one, we're going to just brush the brakes slightly as we head through turn two here, giving up a little bit of speed to make sure we get a good launch through three here, taking a little bit of curb there as well. Now, as we set up our entry for turn four, we're going to come back track right and get ready for this entry here. Again, brush of the brake, giving up a little more time there at four so that we get that good, fast exit up off of five. This brings us down to one of my favorite parts of the course, a big pitch to the right, downhill. We're going to try and stay mid-track as we approach our entry into seven, take a little bit of curb there, and get that car placed right back to the left here for our track out entry into turn eight. This is pretty much flat out, a lot of compression on the car as we're coming up this hill, a little bit of momentum and a little bit of rotation using that curb on the inside out of nine. This will bring us down into turn 10 into Scarperia. It's much like Casanova there, big yellow curbing on the inside. Do have to be careful with that entry as we came out 11 back there, very short little fast jaunt to the left. Now into 12. This is pretty much a huge carousel here. Very fast right-hand rotating corner. Want to get a good launch out of here as this is pretty much flat out through the final S's. Down through 13, through 14. We'll come back track right to set up our entry into 15. A little bit off camber here at entry. Difficult on braking as well. That back end wants to get loose. But then as we travel down into the apex, you get a little bit of camber coming off the corner so that you can get a good launch up onto this front straightaway. And here is where all the overtaking takes place, as you can see. Big wide course, 0.7 of a mile up this front straightaway. As we cross the stripe once again, there you go. There's your track guide for the beautiful Mugello circuit.
And thanks so much to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide of Mugello. And as you saw there, as Kevin was hustling that Toyota around, It is definitely a challenging circuit. There again, lots of second and third gear corners, and certainly going to be a lesson in throttle modulation. And I suspect from the way a lot of these corners are going to be laid out is that it is going to make for some very difficult passing, but certainly that interclass battling between the MX-5s and the GR86s that really make speed in very different ways, I think is going to be very, very difficult here. As our drivers now, they're out on course. We're watching Mariano Barrios, who we first saw in the Ricmotech World Challenge. In some of the later rounds of the World Challenge, he is out running in the number 424 Toyota. And to fill you in, and I don't think we're going to have the information set up for you. I'm going to try and work through it here to get you the information as the evening goes on. We have 4 different classes. Wow, is that like Spider-Man all over Mariano's car? That's pretty wild. So we've got 4 different classes here in the Touring Car Cup. We've got a Pro class and an AM class for both the Toyotas as well as for the Mazda MX-5. So 4 classes altogether. I think what we're going to see here on our timing tower and what I have on our timing system right now is not a great way to discern between them. So I'm going to try and give you some of that information. I'll definitely be able to break it down for you at the end, who is who. I can tell you right now that Mike Dam from Orion Racing driving the number 93 machine. And when you look at the cars on track, you will be able to notice this. Mike Dam, he is in our street tuner class. That's the street tuner are the Mazdas, and he is in the pro category. And the way that you can tell he's in the pro category is he's got the red mirrors on the car. He's also got the red number boards on the sides of the car. And so that is how you'll know the ST, the Mazda Pro drivers. Let's see if we can find an AM driver here. If we can, John, and I think one, yeah, Steve Daniel, that's a great one right there. So Steve is in our Street Tuner AM category, and you can tell the Street Tuner AM cars because they've got the green mirrors and the green number boards. So that's how you'll tell them apart from the pro drivers like Mike Dam that are in red. Now, if we jump over to the tuners, to the Club Sport cars, we'll take a look here at Andrew Sharp, driver of the number 24 machine. Andrew new with us here this season, and Andrew is let's see if I've got some information on Andrew. He is from Vermilion Motorsports, and again, he is one of our Club Sport pro drivers, and we can tell that he's one of the pro drivers because he's got the black number boards and black mirrors on his Toyota GR86. As opposed to somebody like Jeff J. We'll use Russ Ruddick here. Russ Ruddick is in our AM category in Club Sport, and the AM category drivers, they've got the orange mirrors and number boards on their cars. And so that is visually how you're going to tell the difference. And in future races, hopefully for round 2, we'll be able to have that information up for you on our timing tower. We'll definitely be working on that. But our drivers right now, they're out for their 15-minute qualifying session. And as we always do in the Touring Car Cup, we give our drivers 4 flying laps to set to try and set their fastest time and set the grid for this evening's race. And so many of our drivers right now, they're working their 3rd flying laps. Andrew Sharp, that we were just watching, was our fastest driver in the Toyotas, in the Club Sport Pro, or in the Toyotas altogether, with a qualifying time of 207.85. We're on board right now with Brandon Whitworth from D2D E-Racing, probably D2D Sim Racing. And he just, he's turning in a 208.32. And so currently just a little bit less than a half second off of Andrew Sharp's pole sitting time. If we move over to the street tuners right now, Travis Schwenke, he is your fastest street tuner driver, and with a qualifying time of 209.43. But I'm getting word that Mike Dam, his teammate, currently on a flyer right now. We'll see if Dam, who has not set a time yet, and is sitting down at the very bottom of the order. As he comes down the front straight, if he can improve and move up the order here, let's take a look. And Mike Dam goes to provisional pole in Street Tuner with a qualifying time of 2:08.47. That is now, wow, that is about, I think almost a full second up on his teammate Travis Schwenke. And that actually puts Mike Dam, as we can see, 7th overall. So very interesting to see there. And again, I think we've got the breakdown there. That CS Pro and CSAM isn't quite accurate on the timing tower. We'll just, yeah, why don't we just keep it like that, John? And you can, what you'll see is when you take a look at the timing tower, the cars with the black positions next to their names on the left-hand side there, those are the Toyotas. The ones with the orange, those are the Mazda MX-5s. And again, we'll try and break things down for you. Now, when our drivers go out to take tonight's race, what you will see is that we will be gridding them up by car type. And so right now, Eric Violet is our fastest driver on track with a 2:07.76. And it is likely then that we will have all the Toyotas line up first, and then the Mazdas behind. There'll be a little bit of a gap behind. So let's continue to look here. Is again Violet and Sharp and Whitworth. Leo Dragota, who has been elevated to the pro category after running an AM last season. He is there as well. He is currently your 3rd fastest Toyota driver. And in the Mazdas right now, it's Dam, it's Schwenke, and then it is Chris Thorman from D2D Sim Racing. And then our 4th fastest driver right now in the Toyotas, and I believe our fastest, well, you see, we're showing him as an AM category driver, and well, he's just been promoted to the pro category, actually. So I don't know how. I'm going to try to get you all the correct information here tonight, but Jeff Cranston, currently 4th fastest in the Mazdas. He was our season 23 AM category champion, and has just now been moved up to the pro category. So, and a matter of fact, he's sitting in the green room right now. Let's bring him on in and talk to Jeff Cranston. Jeff is the driver of the number 97 Craney Customs Street Tuner Pro Mazda Miata. How you doing tonight, Jeff?
Hey, Greg, doing well. Great to be back.
Great to have you back, and you know, big change for you this season, coming off your AM category championship in season number 23. You have been promoted now to the pros, and how you finding the competition so far?
Yeah, this is true. Up to the pro class. Well, this is round 1, so we'll see where I fit in. I'm familiar with the names, the veterans of the class, so just hoping to dice it up. I know at the end of last season, I had some flashes where I got to battle with the front pack, so we'll see how that goes.
Well, so far you're qualified 4th tonight in the pros, so certainly a good showing so far in qualifying. Now, Mugello obviously is very new to the iRacing platform. How are you finding this track so far? Is it to your liking?
Yeah, first laps were just about an hour ago. Luckily, it's pretty open and flowy, smooth. So what I'm worried about is kind of falling off kind of a pack. I don't want to be running by myself out there.
Yeah, I understood. I can certainly imagine that having some other folks that are turning laps there, giving you, I guess, a guidepost, a guideway to get around the track, certainly help you out there. So, given the escalation here up into the pros, what are your goals for this season?
I'm hoping to learn from the veteran drivers here. I know a weak point for me has always been pit strategy, or I kind of throw it away with taking tires or more fuel than I need, or speeding penalties. So I just got to be real mindful of these pit stops.
Gotcha, absolutely. All right, well, Jeff, let you get back. I know looks like you're done with qualifying here, but I'll let you get into get in that right headspace and get ready for tonight's 60-minute race to the checkered flag here at Mugello. Good luck this evening. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, that is Jeffrey Cranston, driver of the number 97 Craney Customs Mazda Miata. I want to thank him for joining us. All right, let's take a look here and see who is still out in qualifying. And look at this. On his very last flying lap, and Mike Dam now, he's already put in his 4 flying laps. He's on, I would call this a cool down lap at this point. Mike Dam putting his thumbprint on qualifying here with the fastest time in Street Tuner in the Mazda MX-5s, a time of 2:08.05. That's almost a full second faster than these cars ran during practice during the week. And it sounded like, in talking to Jeffrey Cranston, maybe some of our drivers didn't get some practice during the week, but Mike Dam, 3rd fastest overall. That is a heck of a showing. And again, almost now a couple tenths, about 3 tenths faster than his teammate Travis Schwenke. Now it is Schwenke who is your 2nd fastest driver. That is Mike Dam's Orion Racing teammate. And then we have Chris Thorman from D2D Sim Racing, Jeffrey Cranston, who we just talked about from Craney Customs. Then we've got Greg Mack, who was your 5th fastest your 5th fastest Mazda driver, and then the 3rd in the Orion Racing Triumvirate, that is Robert Hartley. In the Toyotas, Eric Violette. Now, as we've only got about 20 seconds left in qualifying, and he's flashing the headlights. I guess he wants people to get out of his way. I don't know. But Eric Violette just completes his last flying lap. Does not improve on the 2:07.76 that he is going to use likely to go to pole here. Andrew Sharp from Vermilion, he is your 2nd fastest racer. And then we've got Leo Dragotta. And so we've got our drivers now. See, I could have held off because we're going to put the grid on the screen right now and tell you who our starting racers are. And as I mentioned, we're going to have all the Toyotas gridded up first, and then the Mazdas will get a 2nd start. So let's take a look at the starting order. On the pole with a qualifying time of 2:07.755 from D2D Sim Racing, as we mentioned, it's Eric Violette. Andrew Sharp from Vermilion will start right next to him in 2nd position. Then Leo Dragotta and Brandon Whitworth will make up row number 2. Dragotta driving the 118 machine from Rennsport Racing. Brandon Whitworth from D2D will start 4th. Then Tom Morathke from Granite State Racing will start 5th, with Mariano Barrios from, I always think of Mr. Rogers when I see Mariano's team name here. It's Friendly Neighborhood Racing. Jeff Jacobs from new sponsor SCCA Foundation will start in 7th position, with Bobby Childs starting in 8th. Then we've got Tom Jenkins from midfield starting in 9th, with Kevin Ford 10th. Russ Ruddick and Paul Carey will make up row number 6. And then rounding out the Toyota field, Dale Maxwell and Rodney Carey making up row number 7, and all by himself on row number 8, starting 15th. It's a newcomer to the series, driving for Insane Motorsports. It's David Killow in the Mazdas. Your pole sitter today, driving the number 93 machine from Orion Racing with a qualifying time, and I don't have the qualifying time. We'll get that again later. Is Mike Dam. Travis Schwenke will start on his side in 2nd. Then we've got Chris Thorman and Jeff Cranston. They'll make up row 2. Robert Hartley and Greg Mack row 3, and then we're going to round out the field with Brennan Horn and Steve Daniel. Want to mention that qualifying was brought to you by Proforma Elite. You can find out more about Proforma Elite at www.proformaetg.com. And again, want to welcome our brand new sponsor to the series. It's the Sports Car Club of America, SCCA Foundation. If you want to find out about the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America, you can go to sccafoundation.org. All right, so we've got the field now under the control of the pace car as our drivers are looking to get some heat in the tires over the course of this this 2.3, or pardon me, 3.2. So it's almost like I have dyslexia. This 3.2 mile road course here. You'd notice that when the Toyotas took off, the Mazdas held station there on the front straight. That is to a couple of things. One is to ensure that the Mazdas don't run up on the Toyotas at the start of the race. It'll give them both an opportunity to race, but we also think that given the relative lap times for the Toyotas versus the Mazdas this week in practice, that hopefully there will actually be very little interaction between the two classes over the course of this 60-minute race to the checkered flag. And you can see here at Mugello, good amount of elevation change. Is the safety car is now bringing the field down, and they're going to the quick little switchbacks here at Matarassi and Borgo San Lorenzo, turns 4 and 5, as the track kind of drops away, and it doesn't really start to raise up until you get back, you know, the last half of the race course there. It kind of drops down into this bowl with this very wide sweeper at turn 6. It's going to switch back again right away at Savelli, and then you see it start to rise up at the hairpin. This is the Arrabbiata 1 and 2, turns 8 and turn 9. So that very long hairpin, you know, very difficult as the drivers try to get the power down. So we're watching right there. There was Tom Rathke from Granite State Racing. The drivers here still, and again, a long way to go on this lap, trying to get some heat in the tires. All right, and the request from race control now is for the packs to start getting packed up. Want to thank everybody for joining us here online tonight, and there you go. We've got all the regulars. We've got Stubby. Stubby's here, of course, cheering on his fans, his favorite drivers like Bobby Child. We've got Ken C saying Mike Dam being Mike Dam. What a surprise! So I want to thank everybody for coming on in tonight. And remember, yes, even though there's a national championship football game, stick around here with me. Don't validate Larry.
Because Larry didn't.
That's right, because Larry didn't stay. All right, pace car is on the pit lane as Eric Violet leads our Club Sport drivers. The Toyota GR86 is onto the front straight. There he is on the inside, and green flag is in the air. Even though you don't see it on the screen there, the command from our real live starter has given the command for the green flag as the drivers make their way down to the hairpin now at San Donato. And it is still a heck of a run. A long way to go for these low horsepower momentum cars as they come under braking for the first time. Violet really protecting to the inside, but it looks like he is going to be able to hold the corner as Sharp now manages to hold off Leo Dragata and Brandon Whitworth. As the street tuner drivers, the Mazdas, they have now gotten the green flag as well, and it is the two teammates, Mike Dam and Travis Schwenke, side by side. D2D Sim Racing's Chris Thorman directly behind, and now we're stretching out 4 wide as we've got we got Robert Hartley trying to sneak down the inside as well, but Mike Dam, he manages to hold the field off through the hairpin at turn 1, and then we've got that quick switchback at turns 2 and 3 at Luco and Padre Secco, and this corner here, this turn 3, is really a waiting turn. You have to wait on that throttle. You just can't get back into it all the way, but there you go, Mike Dam, our pole sitter, who had almost a half second on the rest of the field in qualifying. He leads the field down the hill towards turn 4. All right, let's take a look, because it appears as though Tom Jenkins, one of our Toyota drivers, he is now sitting on the pit lane. Looks like he had a problem on the first lap here. Let's take a look, and well, he's definitely got a bit of a crab walk going on. That's going to make it pretty easy to get around that corner. Let's see if we can find out exactly what happened here. I'm guessing that there was a bit of an impact, probably with another driver. Let's take a look. He lost the rear end. Oh, and yeah, and there you go. That accounts for the left rear, and so Jenkins there in the Toyota, and Tom is one of our AM category drivers there from Midfield Motorsports. He's back to the pits, and that's going to be a very long repair. And I'm wondering if it was maybe David Killo, maybe that was in the incident with him. David's another one of our AM drivers from Insane Motorsports, and I'm showing as he also is. Looks like he's on the pit lane as well. As we watch this battle here, as our drivers are working lap number 2, taking a lot of curb there. Mariano Barrios, Andrew Sharp, who we're on board with right now from Vermilion. Remember, Sharp started off on the front row. He's currently sitting back in 4th, and not a ton of horsepower there. You got to use it when you have it. But we saw there where he just wasn't able to get up alongside before the track switched once again. Brandon Whitworth from D2D Sim Racing, he is running 4th. Wow, as Barrios runs a little wide, and so the 42 car Whitworth going to try to take advantage, cannot do it as the drivers are coming up through that hairpin there, that 8 and 9 complex. All right, so let's jump back over to the Mazdas here. And we see here 3 out of the top 4 cars are our Orion Racing drivers. Mike Dam, your leader, then Travis Schwenke, then we've got Chris Thorman and Robert Hartley. Brendan Horn from D2D Sim Racing in the blue and gray car. He's holding station and holding tight right there, having given up a position. Jeff Cranston, who we talked to in our interview, right behind, but Horn made up 4 positions on the start. So we'll see how this plays for him. And kind of like what Jeff Cranston was saying during the interview, he wants to have, other drivers around him. He doesn't want to be in a position where he's driving all by his lonesome. And I think a lot of that is because you can, especially because it sounds like Jeff didn't get a lot of practice here before tonight's race. Having some drivers to learn from and to be able to, put down additional laps and get additional seat time with a good understanding of where you need to place the car, certainly better for you. And in this case, it looks like when he was all by himself, maybe Brendan Horn wasn't able to put in the best laps. All right, so here we go with Leo Dragotta, I think around 14 years old right now, putting pressure on Eric Violette as they head down the hill here. The 118 Dragon Sport car seems to be controlling the pace just a bit. Mariano Barrios there sitting in 3rd in the 424 machine. And these 3 drivers starting to get a little bit of separation from Andrew Sharp in the 24 car. Sharp Racing Sharp Racing for Vermilion Motorsports. That is the Pro number 24 machine. And Bobby Childs making up 3 positions. Stubby, you're going to love this. Bobby, great new livery from D2D Sim Racing. Bobby has managed to get around not only Tom Rathke, but Brandon Whitworth as well. And he now moves up into 5th position. I think Bobby, just knowing that he's out on a racetrack that is associated with Ferrari, it's probably enough for him. All right, it looks like David Killo in the number 30 Toyota has returned to the action. He is down by quite a bit, it appears. But it looks like he is about a lap down at this point, and again back behind the entire Toyota field, and probably he's behind the entire Mazda field. He'd have to work his way through through 8 Mazdas in order to get up to Rodney Carey, who's currently running 13th in Street Tuner. And here we go, side by side, going down into the corner here. And Leo Dragotta might get hung out to dry as the 424 machine of Barrios tries to tuck in behind Eric Violet, but Dragotta able to hold off Barrios and Andrew Sharp directly behind. And again, very, very aggressive movement here from 3 of our top 4 drivers. And we've seen Dragotta in both Porsches and in the Aston Martins in the Ricmotech World Challenge and also the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, and he has shown so much promise in the last calendar year. And he's jumping into these Toyotas, which are definitely a challenge to drive. Very touchy on the brakes. You can't really use trail braking with these cars the way you can with the Mazdas. And as you see here, lots and lots of weight transfer makes him very difficult to drive. But he is definitely holding strong. Look at this now as we jump over back to Street Tuner and to the Mazdas. Taking the lead in pro is Chris Thorman. He has gotten around Mike Dam, but more importantly, I think for Dam, Travis Schwenke has, Brendan Horn has as well. Our pole sitter now finds himself back in 4th position. And I was wondering, hopefully we might be able to pick up and see exactly how that was done. And you see I'm making things hard for John. sorry John. John's gonna go and try and see if we can pull up a clip of how. All right, so yeah, so it doesn't appear as though Mike went off track or anything. So here, let's see if John was able to get it up. We'll take a look here as they come down the front straight, heading down towards turn number 1, starting the 4th lap. Here, it's just under the draft, and we know how well these MX-5s draft. And look at that Thorman, all the way from driver's left from the outside. He drafts past our leader as they come up out of turn 1 and go into the left and right of Luco and Poggio Secco. So great move by Thorman, and it looks like he just basically pulled Travis Schwenke along with them. And it's a long race. It's a 60-minute race. We're going to have pit stops a little bit later. It looks like Mike Dam, knowing that discretion is the better part of valor, managed to hold off. And we can see here where Brennan Horn's able to sneak underneath the 93 car as well. But the Mazda's already early on using that heavy draft to their advantage, and we have not seen that yet on the Toyotas. But I'll tell you, you see there, and this is, I think, one of the big differences between these Mazdas. You'll notice that there are a lot of sausage curbs around some of these corners, and these are things that the Mazdas can handle, I think, much better than the Toyotas. And so you'll see the Toyotas, I think, stick much more to the black surface rather than the painted stuff on either side of the track. Is Brendan Horn getting a big love tap from Mike Dam, and doesn't hurt either one of the cars there. But I think Dam is trying to impress upon Brennan that he needs to make up the 6/10 right now that separate him from our 2 leaders. All right, so let's jump back over to the Toyotas here, and it is it was 3 cars at one point, now 4, and Mariano Barrios side by side now with Eric Violet. We'll see if he can do what Leo Dragotta was not able to earlier. Dragotta trying to pick his horse, trying to pick the 424 here along this hairpin, and this is over at I believe at turn 12 at Corriateo. here, and we'll see how things play out. But for a moment there, Mario Barrios trying the over-under, coming underneath Violet. Let's see, as the track is going to switch back once again now and move over to the left. See, you really have to get a great run out of a corner, and you have to, hope that the driver ahead of you doesn't, because frankly, as soon as you try to take advantage, the track once again, you come up on a corner, and you just, with these very evenly matched, obviously, cars that are set up very similarly, although with the Toyotas, you do have the ability to set the rake of the rear wing. I would suspect that most of these drivers probably have them set to the lowest levels, and you're going to find that they all end up having almost the same straightaway speed. But look at this, a little bit further back in the pack. Great little fight right now. This is Brandon Whitworth, Tom Rathke, Jeff Jacobs in the Florida Gator car, and the SCCA Foundation machine there, the blue and white car. And then Kevin Ford directly behind, who of course did our track guide this evening, along with Paul Carey in the 141, the red and white machine behind. Again, this is the battle right now for fifth, and a great fight here. But I think as we're seeing here with these Toyotas, they're not getting enough of a pull on the draft like the Mazdas were in order to really challenge for a position. And here they come onto the front straight to complete lap number 6. We're starting lap number 7, and now Barrios, he pulls out once again. It looks like Barrios might be having some connectivity issues here, but he's going to try to sweep around the outside of Eric Violet, and Violet sticking to the inside. We knew that on lap 1, Violet was able to negotiate turn 1, the hairpin there at 1. Just from all the way on the inside. He's able to do it again, but this time Mariano Barrios, he takes the lead away from Eric Violet. Leo Dragota trying to get around the outside before the track switches back, but then Eric Violet goes to cover to limit the damage, and Dragota, he's going to hold station in third, Andrew Sharp in fourth, as we drop back to that battle just behind. And again, this is the battle for fifth, and big change here just ahead. As we're on board with Bobby Child from D2D, looking at the back of a very wide Toyota from Jeff Jacobs, but Tom Rathke has gotten around Brandon Whitworth. So Rathke there in the white number 41, he is your new 5th place runner. And just as quickly as Childs was challenging for eighth position with Jeff Jacobs, Kevin Ford pulled right up alongside, and there is Kevin in the red and white number 32 machine. And by nature of those drivers going side by side through multiple corners, we can see here now they have lost almost 8 car lengths to Jeff Jacobs up ahead. And so again, very challenging here with this very tight, twisty course. Should mention that it looks like David Killo has entered the pit lane. He has now left the pit lane, headed back out on track. I guess he didn't like the handling of his car after that early incident. He is now showing as 3 laps down. Tom Jenkins, who is in that lap 1 incident in his Toyota with Killo, still in the pits trying to get repairs. And we see here Brennan Horn currently sitting in 4th, trying to hold off the 2 Orion Racing drivers, Mike Dam, our pole sitter for tonight, and Robert Hartley. Dam tries to go right alongside as they come down this very, very long front straight. Obviously, you can see there a big rise in the middle of it, and as they come down under braking in the 1, Dam not able to pull alongside, and so he is going to have to look for another way around Brennan Horn. And Brennan Horn, he is going to have to look for another way around Brennan Horn. And so he is going to have to look for another way around Brennan Horn. And so he is going to have to look for another way around Brennan Horn. And so he is going to have to look for another way around Brennan Horn. And so he is going to have to look for another way around Brennan Horn. And so he is going to have to look for another way around Brennan Horn. And so he is going to have to look for another way around Brennan Horn. And so he is going to have to look for another way around Brennan Horn. And so he is going to have to look for another way around Brennan Horn. And so he is going to have to look for another way around Brennan Horn. And so he is going to have to look for another way around Brennan Horn. And so he is going to have to look for another way around Brennan Horn. And so he is going to have to look for another way around Brennan Horn. And so he is going to have to look for another Just ahead, though, is Chris Thorman. They were able to draft back up. Remember, just a lap ago, it appeared as though maybe Brennan Horn was holding the trio of Dan Hartley and Jeff Cranston a little bit further back. He is now pulled right back up to the back of Chris Thorman and our leader, Travis Schwenke, in Club Sport Pro. They're probably in Street Tuner Pro. I'll get it right, Evan. I'll get it right by round 6. Yeah. All right, as we jump over again to the Toyotas, and Mario Barrios, we saw him take the lead a little bit earlier. He's cementing that with Eric Violet sitting in second, and this is probably a good opportunity. You know, although the draft doesn't look to be that strong for the Toyotas, you know, it's still not a horrible idea there for Violet to sit in Barrios' draft for a little while, let Barrios pull him along. Although it looks like there's a little bit of bump drafting going on here, but perhaps try to eke out a little bit more fuel savings, and if necessary, to overtake Barrios in the pits. And we do anticipate that the Toyotas will probably get about 19 laps out of a tank of fuel, so probably coming in anywhere between lap 9 and lap 19 for the Toyotas. That would be the pit window. We are right now in the middle of lap number 9, so that pit window should be opening up this next time by for the Toyota drivers. The window a little bit bigger for the Mazdas. They're getting a little bit better fuel economy. At least they were getting better fuel economy here during the week in testing. They won't be able to go until about lap 11 before their pit window would open, and then probably up to lap 17. And new leader, that is Chris Thorman, who has gotten around Travis Schwenke in Street Tuner. And so move the D2D Sim Racer now to the lead. That's going to move Schwenke, the 16 car, back to second. Mike Dam has managed to work his way around the 45 machine of Brennan Horn. So we now have Orion Racing teammates running second and third. Horn is fourth, and Horn now under attack by both Robert Hartley and Jeff Cranston behind. We'll see what, if anything, he can do to hold that off as our drivers here at the front of the pack in the Mazdas, in the Street Tuners, work their way around David Killo there. Again, Killo a little bit off the pace and 3 laps down at this point after getting some repairs on his car from that earlier incident. And so, you know, when we talked with Jeff Cranston earlier, you know, he mentioned that that this is the very first time he had driven Mugello was, well, an hour before tonight's race. We do have a number of sponsored practice sessions in the Touring Car Cup during the week that drivers can take part and learn much more about the upcoming venue, and also get an idea for what the weather conditions are going to be like on race day as well. And by taking part in those practices, they can actually earn points towards the championship. So it makes sense, one, from a competitive standpoint on race day, but also when time comes at the end of the season to have put in some of that testing. And so we watch here now on board with Dragon Sports, Leah Dragoda behind our new second place runner, Eric Violet, and just see how even these drivers are through so many of these turn complexes. All right, let's take a look. Travis Schwenke trying to get his lead back. Mike Dam looking to take advantage of Schwenke's move here and get around Chris Thorman, and Mike Dam does. So our pole sitter up to second. Travis Schwenke retakes the lead, shuffles Chris Thorman now back in the third position. And so we've got the two Orion racers up at the front. We've got the two D2D sim racing drivers now running third and fourth. But you know, this is a much larger pack now. It had been like a 5-car breakaway, but as much fighting as we've been seeing with the Mazdas in the street tuner class, you know, it is now in this pack. Jeff Cranston, it's Greg Mack, it's Dale Maxwell, Steve Daniel is in there as well. I mean, practically, well, Dale Maxwell's in his Toyota. It's kind of mixed right in the middle there. But this pack has become much, much larger and certainly more competitive. And again, I think what we're seeing here is even on these shorter sections of track, the draft is just that much stronger in the Mazdas than it is in the Toyotas. As Thorman's going to take a look to the inside, both on Dam and also on Schwenke. And there you go, Thorman retaking second for the time being, as Dam's going to try and sweep around the outside and take the draft of his teammate as they come onto the front straight. And that is just a move that Thorman cannot defend against. He's going to slot back in line as Mike Dam is going to have a couple people following along. I think Dam and Thorman, oh, we are now 3 wide heading into the hairpin at 1 to San Donato. How's it going to play out here? Who's going to do it? Mike Dam sweeps around from the outside. He is your new leader, as Thorman and Schwenke now coming up the turns 2 and 3. Going to have to figure out, oh, and there's a tap there, and going off, going to the left, Chris Thorman, and he impacts the wall. Big hit for Chris Thorman from D2D. You can see there he's missing the whole front end of the car. We'll see if he can get back underway, but as it stands, he's going to drop all the way to the back of the street tuner field. Going to fall back to 8th as Mike Dam opens up the gap just a little bit, and hopefully we'll be able to get another take a look. Let's take a look and see exactly what happened there. And you see Thorman trying to go around the outside of Travis Schwenke as they come over to turn 3. Thorman to the inside, and he just drifts out to the middle of the track. You know, I'm going to call it a racing incident, but I didn't see really any move there from Schwenke. Let's take another look at it here from a different angle. We'll take a look at it from overhead. You know, from that first shot, it didn't look like it looked like Schwenke held his ground. He stayed mid-track, gave Thorman plenty of room. There you go, and Thorman off into the tire wall. That is so unfortunate. He put on such a great fight here early on in this race. It's now Dam, it's Schwenke, it's Horn. I guess probably the big question now is whether or not Travis Schwenke incurred any damage as we jump back over to Club Sport and to the Toyotas. Barrios holding off Violet, then Dragota still there, and then Andrew Sharp. It's how it has been, and then it is almost 7 full seconds until we get back to Brandon Whitworth in that second group. And you know, things look so much more sedate with these 4 drivers. Although there you go, as Violet gets a whole bunch of curbing, and you can see there how it really throws these Toyotas around when they get those sausage curbs. These cars just do not handle the weight transfer as well as the Mazdas do. And indeed, Chris Thorman has taken his car back to the pits. He's going to need to get some repairs there here as the night goes on. You know, as we mentioned, in the Toyotas, we are now firmly into their pit window. For the Mazdas, we are just now entering the pit window. And again, this is a 60-minute race, and you can see we're only a quarter of the, well, not a quarter, but a little bit less than halfway through. So a lot of racing here to continue on at Mugello. And Thorman, I think, might be back out on track. Well, No, looks like no, it looks like Chris Thorman may have ended his night. Yeah, looks like Chris Thorman has decided to call it a night there, unfortunately. All right, let's jump back to this battle for the lead as Dragoda continues to hound the 89 car of Violet, and it's finally bit him now as Andrew Sharp trying to come underneath the 118 car. Fighting back though is Dragoda, and the track's going to move back to the left here, and that is advantage Leah Dragoda, who does manage to hold off Andrew Sharp for the time being. The Vermilion Motorsports driver. I want to welcome him to the series. This is his first season with us, I believe. Yeah, matter of fact, Sharp from the Virginia area, from the I believe the Washington D.C. area, has only been doing iRacing for about a year, and he's putting up a real good fight with some folks that have been driving these cars for a very long time. As we jump a little bit further back in the field right now, it looks as though Jeff Cranston has now fallen back in the 7th position. And he is fighting it out with AM driver Steve Daniel. And Steve is your AM category leader. You can tell by the green mirrors on his car. And again, we'll have to get this filled out. And Jeff was a little confused when he said, "Hey, congratulations on being escalated up to pro," but for some reason he is running the livery of an AM driver, and so we've got our first driver to come of his own volition down the pit lane, and that is Leo Dragoda from Dragon Sport Racing. Again, just as he completes lap number 12, so very early on in the pit window here, but from what we're seeing with these Toyotas, at the front of the pack with Barrios, with Violet, with Sharp, and with Dragoda, we find making passes on track to be immensely difficult, and so it's going to be a question as to whether or not you can make the move and make the pass via the pit cycle and via your pit window. And Dragoda is now heading back out on track. It looks like Dale Maxwell making his way in the 111 car. And Rodney Carey coming in as well. And looks like Maxwell may be taking on, both Maxwell and possibly Carey might be taking tires. If they are, I would suspect that they're only taking left side tires. Given the clockwise nature of this circuit and the multiple right-handed hairpins that we have here, probably puts a lot of load on that right front tire. So we'll see here. And now we are starting to see here more drivers. Well, not more drivers pitting in. That was just one of our crossover roads. But we're going to see here as Eric Violet. Or this is actually, I'm sorry, a little bit further in the pack. This is Brandon Whitworth, who is running in 4th with Rathke and Jeff Jacobs. And this group, they've managed to lose Bobby Childs and Kevin Ford, who we know we're fighting tooth and nail for an extended period of time. Russ Ruddick and Paul Carey as well. All right, coming in now, Tom Rathke in his Toyota in the number 41 machine. He's coming down the pit lane for service. And Rathke, of course, from Granite State Racing. I was trying to read the license plate frame on the back things. I think it says "thanks for you not pointing" or something. I forgot what it was. Anyway, let's jump back to this battle here for the lead in the Toyotas. Barrios, Violet, and Sharp now that I remember who we're watching. We'll see. Again, I would expect one of these drivers probably to come in within the next 2 laps. So let's do this. We're going to follow them around, and if they don't come in, and Barrios continues to have some of those network connectivity issues. That has got to be so disconcerting for Violet and for Sharp, because you just, if you go to make a move, you never know whether you're going to end up with a netcode issue and end up with another car right on top of you. But Barrios now has opened up about a 2.5, almost 3 car length advantage over the number 89 car, as they are now coming down the hill through I think through turns 8 and 9 back up. Yeah, now they'll, yeah, exactly. And so they're going to be coming now over towards the final hairpin here in a moment. And back out on the front straight. There they are. And neither of our top 2 drivers come down the pit lane. Andrew Sharp does not as well. So let's do this. We're right at the top of the hour, and I guarantee you, as soon as we go to take a break on the next lap, all 3 of these drivers are going to come down the pit lane. But let's do this. Let's take a quick break, thanks to our partners and sponsors. And when we come back, we'll take you all the way to the checkered flag here from Mugello, where you're watching season number 24 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Touring Car Cup, presented by the SCCA Foundation. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org. The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
And welcome back to Mugello. I'm Greg Ginsberg, and this is the Ricmotech Touring Car Cup. It's the opening round of season number 24. And for those of you that are missing him like me, Larry Lefty McLeod will hopefully be back for the season opener of the Ricmotech World Challenge next Monday night. We'll talk about that a little bit later this evening. But as you would expect, as soon as we went to break, everybody came in for their pit stops. Brendan Whitworth came in for his pit stop. Tom Radke did as well. They rejoined in 8th and 9th position in the Toyotas. In the Mazdas, we have actually Paul Carey and Greg Mack on the pit lane. Currently, Carey is just finishing up his pit stop. But we had Steve Daniel, Robert Hartley, and Rodney Carey come in for their pit stops. And Rodney, of course, running in one of the Toyotas Rodney currently running 12th in the Toyotas at the moment. In the Mazdas with, looks like Greg Mack is going to rejoin in 5th position, whereas Steve Daniel is in 6th, and Robert Hartley finds himself all the way back in 7th. And taking a look at the pit stop, his pit stop was almost 5 seconds longer than most of the other drivers that came in at the same time on the same lap. He may have taken tires that whereas some of the other drivers did not. And there is Hartley. He's gonna make up a position on Hartley. But here we go. The first of our Toyota leaders comes down the pit lane. Andrew Sharp. I guess actually the second of our Toyota leaders coming down the pit lane. Sharp, who had been running in 4th behind Leo Dragota early on. Dragota, the first of our Toyotas to pit. Sharp is now the second. And we'll see where he comes out. As you see Robert Hartley now working his way up to Greg Mack, who had pitted in on the previous lap. Hartley, I think, realizes he's got a lot of ground to pick up with the deficit that he built up for himself on the pit lane. And that's a pretty neat livery there that Greg Mack has. I was gonna say it almost looks like some of the Bob Sharp Datsun cars. All right, coming down the pit lane. There's Brennan Horan, who had a very early pit stall, had the slam on the car. Pretty clear that he is taking some tires, and as the car drops back down, Cranston on the pit lane as well. And wow, I wonder if Horan's taking 4 tires. We know that, and we've seen over past seasons that Brennan Horan works that Mazda MX-5 pretty hard, and he may be seeing where he doesn't think he can get to the end without some more tires. But Jeff Cranston heads back out, Brennan Horan behind, and that would be a heck of a, I don't want to call it a coup, but if Cranston can pick up a position there on Horan and hold Horan off, Cranston, who had fallen back into 6th position at one point, he may find himself at least picking up another position there. So he's going to rejoin in 6th as Mariano Barrios and Eric Violette both come down the pit lane there to on the end of lap number 18, going into lap 19. So right at the tail end of what we thought the pit window would be. And that is going to move, at least temporarily, Jeff Jacobs to the lead, as Jacobs has not pitted in yet. And let's see which of these drivers comes out first. Kevin Ford coming down the pit lane as well to take his service. And Barrios is already headed down the pit lane. He's had an earlier stall than Eric Violette, but Barrios is going to beat Violet out onto the track and be able to hold that position. Barrios rejoins in 2nd position, Violet in 3rd. Dragota is on the front straight right now. He's going to come out behind these two. And again, for the moment, our leader is Jeff Jacobs. He is yet to pit, so we know he will be coming in soon enough. In the ST side, in the Mazdas, Mike Dam and his teammate Travis Schwenke come in tandem onto the pit lane. They're taking fuel. We don't see these cars popping up on either side, so they may not be taking tires as we saw Mike Dam do earlier. As we saw Brennan Horn do earlier. Let's see how long these pit stops run. We saw, and there you go, about 24.5 seconds for both Dam and Schwenke in the pit stall. If we look at Greg Mack, he was at 25, and again, just comparing Robert Hartley, who pitted 3 laps earlier, was almost 5 seconds longer in the pit stall than Dam or Schwenke, as they are now back out, and they are going to rejoin in the lead, as all of the Mazdas now have taken their required service. And so with 20 minutes remaining in the race, here in Street Tuner in the Mazdas. It is Mike Dam, your leader, Travis Schwenke second, Robert Hartley third, and here comes now Jeff Jacobs, who is the last of our Toyota drivers to come down the pit lane for service. We'll see where he rejoins. He had been running back approximately between 8th and 9th, around where Kevin Ford and Russ Ruddick, Bobby Childs were. Oh, and it looks like Jeff runs a little deep out of the pit stall. He's going to lose a little bit of time there as he needed to back the car back up. So we'll see where he goes. And so that means now as he crosses stripe, retaking the lead is going to be Mariano Barrios. Remember, though, that Jeff Jacobs, a pretty savvy move there, is the last driver to come down the pit lane. And now as he rejoins, he's going to pick up a point for leading a lap here in the series, and that may become very useful a little bit later on this season. And so Jacobs, he rejoins now in 6th, and it looks like he gets positions back from Tom Rathke and Kevin Ford, as Jeff Jacobs was on the pit lane for only, or probably in his pit stall for 16 seconds, and could have been a heck of a lot shorter had he not overrun the pit stall. And so he now has to contend with Tom Rathke, who's right behind him. So look at this as we take a look in the Toyotas, as we're following now our two leaders, Mike Dam and Travis Schwenke. Again, we're in lockstep when they came down the pit lane, and they are, I don't want to say masters, but they're very masterful at fuel savings, even when it appears as though they're fighting for every inch of pavement and for position. Dam and Schwenke right now with almost 6 seconds on their teammate Robert Hartley, and so what had been for the longest time a very, very tight fight there with Brennan Horn, and of course we lost Thorman to that incident early on. Dam and Schwenke now, I think, are with only 20 minutes remaining and closer now to 15, really almost in a position where they can hold station probably for, I don't know, maybe another 6 or 7 laps, and maybe a little bit less than that, and then they can just start fighting it out till the end, and not have to worry about any of their ST competitors encroaching on their fun and on their battles. We jump on board right now here with Greg Mack. He's got a big view of the back of Steve Daniels' number 96 machine. This is the battle for 4th right now in the Street Tuner class. You'll notice that Steve Daniel is one of our AM category drivers. Greg is one of our pro drivers. So Greg right now he's running 3rd in pro. So he's made up a number of positions on the pit cycle. But the one thing is that when our drivers get points at the end of the evening, the points that they are assigned are based on their finishing position in the category. So in Street Tuner right now, again, Greg Mack is looking at 4th place points, where Robert Hartley, who's probably there you go. I think we might have lost Steve Daniel. So everything that I was saying, has now become a moot point, as Steve Daniel has an incident. Let's go and take a look and see what happened, as Greg Mack was trying to make a move on him. And it just looks, we could see all the additional braking that Steve Daniel had to put in, and it was just enough to send the rear end of that car around. Did not impact the wall, thankfully for him, but he loses a lot of time and a lot of positions there. And so now everything that I was saying about Greg Mack getting 5th place points while Hartley was looking at 3rd place points, that doesn't really matter any longer. Greg Mack now 4th in ST, 4th in Pro. And there's Bobby Child. Great move by Bobby on Russ Ruddick. That's going to move Bobby up to 9th in Club Sport. see there by looking at the mirrors. Bobby, one of our Club Sport Pro drivers. Ruddick, one of our Club Sport AM drivers. Jeff Cranston right now, he's managed to get back up to Greg Mack. And again, Cranston, although we show him as being an AM driver, he is in pro. And so this would be the battle not only for 4th in Street Tuner, but the 4th in Street Tuner Pro as they start to work their way back up the hill towards the top of the circuit. Come around the final hairpin here onto the front straight, coming around Lucille. See if Cranston can make up some of that ground in the draft. You saw where Greg Mack was maybe a little bit stronger through turns 12 through 15, but here you go. Here's how strong the draft is. Cranston takes a look to the outside. Now he moves over to driver's right. Going to take a look down the inside. He's going to drive Greg Mack wide, almost up to the apron. And I'll tell you, I think Greg Mack there, if he possibly didn't run as wide as he did in the turn number 1, and didn't have to take all that extra pavement and all that extra distance through that corner, might have been able to hold off Jeff Cranston. But now Cranston moves up into 4th. And here we rejoin Mariano Barrios in the number 424 machine. And Barrios now with almost a 2-second advantage over his competitor in Pro, in Club Sport Pro. Eric Violette, the friendly neighborhood racing driver, and you know, and if you put it all together, yeah, I made the joke about Mr. Rogers, but as opposed, you know, it kind of all fits together now. You know, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man and Spider-Man in the comics on the side of the car, and it took me a while because I'm slow like that, but there you go. That's the shot right there. Thank you, John. And you can see Spider-Man just looking back at us right now. But the comic books all over the car, that is absolutely wild. And so I was calling a race at Homestead Raceway this weekend, and had a driver. He's been racing Mazda RX-7s for close to 30 years. And it turns out that he is a huge Star Wars fan, to the point where his car number is based on the year that the original Star Wars movie was released. Oh no, Jeff Jacobs, or probably Steve Daniel having another issue here for SKKJ Racing. Oh, maybe caught a little grass. Let's take a look. So this side of the car looks fine. Let's take a look and see what happened. And this time he's got Brennan Horn giving him a little bit of pressure. Remember, and is this the same corner that he went around earlier? I don't think so. Oh, wow. As he just missed getting into the back end of Brennan Horn. But I think, yeah, and Steve Daniel might be doing the same right now. And hey, I think Steve Daniel, after 2 spins, realizes, you know, that right rear tire probably isn't in the best shape right now. As you know, again, I think those were 2 unforced errors there from Steve Daniels. We jump back over to the front of the Street Tuner field here with Mike Dam, with just 10 minutes remaining, and again with Dam and Schwenke, the gap back to their teammate Robert Hartley has been holding steady at just about 6.5, 7 seconds now. And I say if we see Schwenke maybe pick up a little bit of ground in the draft, I'm sure this fight's going to start soon enough. But for the time being, I'm sure Mike Dam is pretty content for there not to be a fight for the lead. as he now has about a 4-car length advantage over the driver of the 16 machine. But so far, and you can see there, although Schwenke had made up some ground on Dam a couple laps ago, for the most part, Dam he's been eking out a little bit more of a gap the last 3 laps or so here, as they come onto the front straight to start their 24th lap. And we think that this race, and we've got, again, about 9 minutes left. We think this race will probably go 28 laps, and that looks about right. 4 more laps, given that we've got about 9 minutes, and these drivers have been running in the slightly over 2-minute range. That sounds pretty darn close. Jumping back over to the Toyotas, Leo Dragotta, he's under attack by Andrew Sharp. And looks as though Dragotta and Sharp, not handling that pit cycle nearly as well as Barrios and Violet did. Again, we knew Dragotta was the very first driver to head down the pit lane, and it appears to have hurt him as both he and Sharp now, about 7 seconds back from our leaders. And Andrew Sharp, he, for the moment, has the better of Leo Dragotta, and he now takes over 3rd place here. And again, it's gonna be about 3 laps or so, 4 laps for Dragotta to find a way back around and back onto the podium. That is a move that Andrew Sharp, I think, has been waiting about 45 minutes to put on Leo Dragotta. There's no doubting that Dragotta at this point, I think, has a little bit more cornering speed here than the car ahead than Sharp. The question is whether or not Dragotta can actually find a way to get past before the track switches back again. Look at how that nose just drops to the ground under braking with these Toyotas. I mentioned earlier that these cars don't take well to trail braking, that you really do need to get your braking done in a straight line with the Toyotas. It really unsettles the rear of the car if you are attempting to get it turned in with the nose loaded up any. Even just a little bit. Now the Toyotas, much like the Mazdas, they do have ABS, and you do in iRacing have the ability. Oh, look, as Sharp runs wide coming through here, is this going to hurt him? He's only had the measure of Dragotta for about 3/4 of a lap as they come onto the front straight, but went very wide through Bucin. And for the time being, though, Sharp is able to correct his error. But Leo Dragotta, he's going to try to come down the inside going into turn number 1. Later on the brakes is the 119 machine, or the 118 machine, pardon me. But now the track's going to switch back, and we've seen this multiple times, how it goes back to the left and then to the right, and then Andrew Sharp is able to slice across the nose of the 118. And that has been one of the best passing opportunities, is actually going into turn number 1, but you have to make it stick going into turns 2 and 3, because this is where it becomes very difficult. You come down the hill into Matarassi and San Lorenzo, and then continue down the hill as you head to the hairpin. And switching and moving to an uphill, very difficult for these cars that don't have a lot of acceleration. But it's going to be a move, and look at that. Leo Dragotta puts the move on Andrew Sharp as the track switches back over at turns 10 and 11. And it's going to be difficult here as they come through the hairpin at Corteo. What can we see the number 24 fight back? He might have to wait until they get to the front straight again as they come into the final hairpin here at 15 once again. Should also mention they're kind of stalking in the back. He's a little less than 3 seconds behind. That is Brandon Whitworth, currently running in 5th for D2D Sim Racing. I think given that we only have now a little less than 4 minutes remaining, probably only another 2 laps, possibly 3, but likely 2 laps remaining. I don't think he's going to be in a position to fight it out for 3rd, as Sharp now once again goes around the outside of Dragotta. Is he going to try it? Does he think he's close enough to sweep across the nose? No, he doesn't do it under braking, but he has position now as the track is going to cut back over to driver's left for turns numbers 2 and then 3. There he goes. He makes the move once again, and Dragotta gets one of those sausage curbs, and it brings the rear end of the car around. And Dragotta now, not only does he lose a position to Andrew Sharp, Brandon Whitworth now moves into 4th position with only 3 minutes remaining on the clock. And Tom Rathke takes advantage as well, as Dragotta trying to limit the damage. He's now lost 3 positions. We'll see if he can at least get 1 back from the Granite State Racing driver, but Dragotta now falling into 6th. As we jump back over to our leaders here in Street Tuner, and Schwenke's made up a little bit of ground now. The last couple of laps, he is within a second. He is definitely within the draft, about 3/4 of a second back. And we'll see here as they make the run down into turn number 1. Does Schwenke try to go a little bit deeper on the brakes and make up a little bit more of that ground as they come through? And he knocks about another 1/10 off. So we're back to about 6/10 of a second, 7/10 as they come through turns 2 and 3 again. And let's see here is Barrios now. And there you go. White flag is in the air for Mariano Barrios, our leader in club sport. Eric Violette, he's about 1.5 seconds back. He's got a long way to go and only 3.2 miles to get there. We'll and so 2 great fights, 2 great battles for the lead. One here in club sport with Barrios and Violet, the other with Mike Dam and Travis Schwenke, as they now come on to, I believe they're going to be coming into turn 15 here momentarily and into the final hairpin to start their last lap in just a few moments. But great fighting here all the way through, and actually I think they're coming into 12 at the moment. There you go. Yeah, they're coming into to turn 12. Then here's 13 and 14 into Biandetti 1 and 2, and they'll be coming onto the front straight right after this hairpin at 15 to start their final lap. And they're sitting in the back. It's Robert Hartley who has made up so many positions after that pretty disastrous pit stop for him. As they now are on the front straight, and they are now on their last lap. And so Schwenke probably again at the tail end of the draft, but actually has lost a little bit of ground to his teammate Mike Dam on that last lap. If we jump back over to our leaders on the Toyotas, here they are, Mariano Barrios, and Barrios has now opened up another 0.3 of a second or so on Eric Violette. As they are now coming onto the front straight for the very last time, flashing the lights in victory. Mariano Barrios wins round number 1 in club sport here in the Ricmotech Touring Car Cup. Congratulations to him. Eric Violette will finish in 2nd. We'll wait. It's going to be a couple more seconds before he comes up and across the line, but there he is. Andrew Sharp He's going to take the last step on the podium. He finishes in third. Brandon Whitworth will finish in fourth. And Leo Dragota, as he comes, he still has the last hairpin. I think Leo Dragota, oh no, he just crossed the stripe, will finish in fifth. As we jump back over to the Mazdas, and we've got a few corners remaining here, but it is Orion. It's Orion and more Orion here as they come through turn 12 and through Corteo, and then into turns 13 and 14. And then one more hairpin remains here at Mugello. That is Bucine, turn 15. And here he comes through the final corner. I needed to stay quiet there. I didn't want to jinx it. I wanted to make sure that he gets onto the straight first. Mike Dam, he's going to win round number 1 of the Ricmotech Touring Car Cup in Street Tuner. Travis Schwenke, his teammate, will finish second. Robert Hartley will come home in third. Jeff Cranston, well, and Cranston, and looking to see if that is another competitor. He's got Greg Mack very close behind, but Jeff Cranston, he is going to finish fourth tonight, with Greg Mack finishing in fifth. All right, well, there you go. That is our race, round number 1 of the Touring Car Cup. I mean, it was either this or it was Michigan and Washington. John, do we have any updates on on Larry's sobriety levels? The last time we checked in,
the current score looks like it's 17-3 Michigan, Greg. So
all right, it's still 17-3 Michigan. So Larry is probably only two.
Larry's probably rolling a 3.17, I guess.
That's just what I was thinking. Just keep him out of the go-kart tonight. All right, so there you go. It's Barrios, Violet, and Sharp in the Toyotas, and in Club Sport, Dam, Schwenke, and Hartley in Street Tuner. Let's take a quick break. We're going to thank some of our partners and sponsors, and when we come back, we're going to interview some of our winners here tonight from Mugello, where you've just seen round number 1 of season 24's Ricmotech Touring Car Cup here on Apex Racing TV. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best-trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org. The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
And welcome back to Mugello, where you've just seen round number 1 of the Extreme Motorsports Touring Car Cup. Let's go and take a look at the final results here. And again, I have to apologize because we in the commentary booth here don't have a good breakdown of who's in Pro and who's in AM at the moment. But I can tell you that our winner in Club Sport Pro, Mariano Barrios, driver of the number 424 Friendly Neighborhood Racing Toyota GR86 Cup car. Eric Violet from D2D Sim Racing finished in second. Andrew Sharp from Vermilion Racing finished in third. And I just want to verify because, and I just want to make sure that the Vermilion Racer is showing as being in Pro. All right, if we move over to the Toyotas, taking the win is Mike Dam from Orion, Travis Schwenke finishing second, Robert Hartley finishing in third. And just off the podium, we talked to him a little bit earlier tonight. Great outing, given that he never driven the track until about an hour before tonight's race. Jeff Cranston finishing in fourth. All right, so we've got sitting in the green room right now Mariano Barrios. Let's bring him in and listen to him and see what he thought about his race. Mariano Barrios, driver of the 424 Toyota for Friendly Neighborhood Racing. And you know, Mariano, we didn't get a good shot of the side of your car and the comic books that make up the livery on your car until the very end of the race. It took a while for me to realize what the Friendly Neighborhood part was, but you ran a masterful race tonight. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, well, you know, funny story, I actually had that livery before I came up for the team name, because my last name translates to neighborhood from Spanish, and so I just ran with Friendly Neighborhood Racing. It just worked out. But it was a fun race. I have to be honest, I had not driven this car track combo until about 15 minutes prior to the green flag, so quali was my practice, which you might have told by my time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the race just came together. I started to find my rhythm. Eric, Andrew, and Leo, they had great pace, and they kind of showed me the lines through some of the places, and slowly but surely I started finding where to go for it, and then I just attacked Eric anytime I could, got in front of him, and just tried to control the race from there.
Yeah, and it was a great fight from there. We saw how aggressive you became after like lap 3 or 4, as you obviously became you felt you were more familiar with the track, and interesting to see how quickly you picked up on some of the mistakes there. Although I'll tell you, we're watching some replays right now and how you took some of those sausage curbs, and I'm surprised that the car survived after some of those. So given that our next round, our next round up, I believe, is at I think we're going to be at Zandvoort. Have you driven Zandvoort before, or is that going to be another 10-minute before the race?
I haven't driven the rescan. I'm not even sure if we have the rescan or not, but I'm blanking on that. But I've driven the old Zandvoort, and I do like that track. It's tricky. Hopefully I can get qualifying down there, but yeah, I had forgotten how much fun this car is to drive. It just likes to slide around. The sausage curbs are gnarly, but it has so much forgiveness in the suspension that you could really attack them. And as long as you anticipate where the car is going to kind of end up when it lands, you could get pretty aggressive with them.
Yeah, well, because I was going to say that was probably the one thing that caught young Leo Dragota out with about 5 laps to go. Actually, I think about 4 laps to go. He got one of the sausage curbs, and it just sent his car spinning around there. So and that's what took him out of a podium position. But Mariano, I want to congratulate you on winning round number 1. Any sponsors or partners or folks that you'd like to thank for tonight's finish?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Well, always thanking you guys for putting on a great broadcast, the league for putting on a great series, and as always, my wife, she's always supporting the hobby, and we brought home our first son in December, so she's there taking care of him now. He's a month and a week old, I think, at this point. So the fact that I'm here is surprising, to say the least. So just happy to have her and have her support at every turn.
Well, congratulations on the new arrival, and it's funny, we've got our director John Grabowski in the back laughing heartily.
Are you enjoying the lack of sleep? I have a 9-month-old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he has a 9-month-old now who many times is sitting on his lap during these broadcasts. So
Wait till you feed and drive.
If he could sit on my lap while I race, that would be ideal. But yeah, just trying to sneak in as much sleep as I can now, but enjoying every minute of it.
Well, very cool. So congratulations on many different levels, Mariano, and thanks so much, and we'll hopefully see you at the next round.
Yep, we'll see you. Have a great night.
Thanks so much. All right, there you go. Mariano Barrios, our winner in Club Sport Pro from Friendly Neighborhood Racing. Let's move over now. We're going to bring in Russ Ruddock. He's from Flying Tortoise Motorsports. Russ was our winner tonight in Club Sport Am in his Toyota. Welcome and congratulations, Russ.
Thanks. So much nice to be back in a car I can actually drive after struggling in the GT3 last season.
Well, you know, almost everybody I talk to who drives these Toyotas has some complaint about how it drives, whether it's the braking, whether it's the weight transfer. That, you know, it's still it may not have the outright speed of a GT3 car, but it's still it's very difficult to get a handle on in many cases. I've actually found that folks that drive front-wheel drive race cars in real life actually take to it a lot better than the rear-wheel drive cars. So how, given that, and given that we know Mugello hasn't been on the iRacing platform very long, and so I'm sure you've probably had some laps in practice, but how did you feel that this car and this track melded together, and that was it to your liking?
Oh, absolutely. This track is perfect for this car. I mean, you're like wide open the whole lap. I mean, the trick here is just to not use the brake much and to maintain the momentum. And it's just this track is an absolute blast to drive in this car.
Very, very cool. All right, so getting ready to wrap up things here. Anybody you'd like to thank for tonight's win, Russ?
Yeah, my teammate Kevin for all the help, and Jeff Jacobs for helping me with setups and just learning the track and everything.
Oh, very cool. Well, everybody, congratulations to Russ Ruddock. He's your winner tonight in Club Sport Am here in round 1 at Mugello. Thanks for joining us, Russ.
Thanks.
All right, and finally, let's move over now to our Street Tuner Pro winner this evening, taking round 1 of season number 24 from Orion Racing. It's Mike Dam. Congratulations, Mike.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Very, very good. So tell us a little bit. That looked to be, I'll tell you, there was a very large difference at the front of the pack from the Toyotas to the Mazdas. The Toyotas, it looked as though maybe the draft wasn't playing a part all that much, and there didn't seem to be much engagement as far as fighting for leads, but especially early on. It looked as though you and Travis and Thorman and your teammate also, Rob Hartley, really seemed to be shuffling, and Brendan Horn actually was in there as well, really seemed to be shuffling things around quite a bit.
Yeah, actually, this was a pretty prominent draft track, actually, so wasn't quite sure what to expect. It was the first time I've run here, so, but yeah, it was. I found myself in 4th there at one point, and I was like, I couldn't figure out how to get up the field. Yeah, it was a little tricky.
Yeah, so we all noticed obviously that when you came in for your pit stop, you came in with Travis. Was that planned? And I'm wondering if even with all of that the battling that was going on early on, were you still able to work your usual fuel saving magic, or did you guys find yourself having to come in because it was pretty much the last chance you had?
We did run the tank dry, yes, but yeah, with these cars, when you're dealing with this kind of draft, you take those opportunities to save as much as you can. Just helps you down the road, right? But yeah, no, that we pretty much just ran our tanks dry. We had a bit of a lead, so yeah.
Yeah, very good. And I was going to say, and you came out with about a 6.5 second lead that gave you a little bit of clearance there to the end of the race. All right, so to Mike, having taken the win here in round number 1, anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, all the guys at Extreme. It was a good race, really good league. Thanks to Kevin and Jeff for putting it on, and Bobby and Russ in the background as well. Thanks to you guys for broadcasting. Big thanks to Ricmotech, Hobby Cycles, and just all my teammates at Orion. Yeah, it's just a great race.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Mike. I really appreciate it. And I guess we'll be seeing you probably next week for the opening round of the World Challenge.
Yes, sir.
All right. There you go, everybody. Mike Dam, driver of the number 93 Club Sport, or probably Street Tuner. See, I'll get it right by round 4. Street Tuner Mazda Miata, driving for Orion Racing. Your winner tonight. All right. So let's wrap things up, get things ready. And give you an idea of what's coming up here on the schedule. Of course, as I mentioned, next week we are going to have the opening round of season number 6 of the Ricmotech World Challenge. We're going to be opening up at Watkins Glen International. 75 minutes to the checkered. And why are we showing Canadian Tire Motorsports Park? Okay, well, I'm going to go with that. Forget what I said about Watkins Glen. We're going to have a race next week regardless. So it might be it's going to be a North American track. It might be CTMP, it might be Watkins Glen, you never know. You'll find out when we get there. But that is round number 1 next Monday night at 8 p.m. In 2 weeks, the Ricmotech Touring Car Cup returns. We're going to be heading to the Netherlands. Going to be heading to the beach and Circuit Zandvoort. To that, as Mariano mentioned, the newly rescanned Zandvoort on the iRacing platform. That is going to be 2 weeks, January 22nd at 8 p.m. And then a little bit later this spring, April 29th, will be the Sports Car Series for our LMP3 and GT4 cars. And we'll give you an idea of the venue when we get closer. Hey, there's our Touring Car Cup schedule. Zandvoort, then Interlagos, Phillip Island. You can see a lot of European tracks, and then the most famous American tracks in the country, like Summit Point Raceway. And I joke because that's my home track. But a wonderful schedule coming up in Touring Car Cup. All right, so again, want to thank our brand new sponsor this season. That is the SCCA Foundation. If you want to find out about more about the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America, you can go to sccafoundation.org. So for Jonathan Grabowski behind the scenes, I'm Greg Ginsburg, and to Larry McLeod as well, and go Wolverines. We'll see you next week from somewhere in North America. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.